Alright, welcome back to StormShannon.com. This is the next video in the series towards correcting your low back pain, your mid back pain. A lot of times this even plays into the shoulders, into the neck, those types of things. So, in the first video, go back if you haven't watched it, is the 4-way straight leg raise. Start with that. The second video is the exercises to accompany the straight leg raise testing. So in this video, we're moving on to looking at range of motion restrictions. So in this video, we're going to start with an easy assessment that you can check on yourself. And it's basically what we call the overhead squat. So what you're going to do is you're going to stand with your feet shoulder width apart, maybe just a little bit outside that, toes straight ahead. You're going to raise both arms straight up overhead. What you're going to do is you're going to go down into a squat, keeping your arms up, your heels flat, and trying to go as low as you can go. So you're going to slowly go down and come back up. Okay, so the things we're looking for from an assessment point of view is, one, can you go that low? If you cannot get that low, or you have to widen your stance or turn your toes out in order to go that low, we know that your hips are tight. So we will keep that as a key for later for the exercises. So again, if you cannot get your butt all the way to your heels, your hips are tight. So, 2, can you keep your arms straight up and down? As you go and you start to go, do your arms come way forward? If so, your upper back or your thoracic spine is very tight and is locked up, and you're missing extension there. So we'll note that for later for the exercises as well. Finally, do your toes indeed turn out? So one of the big things we'll tend to see is if your internal rotation of your hips is tight, what you have to do is rotate out. But the other reason that might make you rotate out is if your ankles are really tight. So just because your toes roll out, we don't know for sure if it's ankles or hips, but there's a good chance it's one or the other or both. We can go back to, can you get your butt all the way to your heels? If not, good chance your hips are tight as well. If you can get your butt to your heels but you have to toe out, it may just be more of your ankles. So what we want to do to follow that up is we want to start mobilizing those joints, try to free them up to get you into the bottom of that squat, keeping those arms up, getting that really good posture so we know you have full range of motion. So first, if you cannot get your butt into the bottom of that squat, we need to work on freeing up those hips. Primarily, we need to work on flexion and external rotation. So to do that, we're going to use a resistance band. And if you look below this video, you'll see a link to a resistance band on Amazon. It's the thicker band than this one. I like the thicker band a little bit better. It's a little bit more comfortable. It doesn't feel like it's digging into you as much, but this one works just as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to wrap it around the top of your thigh. You're going to walk away so it's pulling back behind you. With it pulling back, what you're going to then do is you're going to try and get into a position where you lay that shin down on the ground, put your knee on the ground, leaning forward. So again, we want good resistance on this. Obviously, for the purpose of the video, I'm not putting a lot of resistance on it. So with this position then, we have that pulling. We're going to lean forward and we're going to look around, going through rotation of the hip, seeing where it feels the tightest. Once we've determined that, we're going to pulse or kind of push into that and relax back and forth for about 2 minutes to open that up. If you cannot get into that position, if you don't have enough flexibility to do that, you can do a couple of things. One, you can stack some pillows underneath your knee, up to the level that you can go. 2, if that doesn't work, you can get into a position here with that knee forward and that band pulling back. And what you're going to start doing is trying to push that knee to the outside in this position as much as you can. Trying to work on that and open that up. Finally, if that still isn't getting it opened up, we can do one other way to start opening that, and that's to reverse it to where it's pulling down once again, and I can simply do a crossover piriformis stretch with the band pulling down. This works really well as to get that hip to open up too. So, once again, that is for if you cannot get into the bottom part of that squat. Now, if we free that up, that gets looser, you're getting into the bottom of that squat, but you're still having to toe out, then we know that your ankles are also very tight, and you don't have enough of what we call dorsiflexion, or bend in that ankle, to be able to drive those knees forward without those toes turning out. To free that up, we're going to use the band once again, but this time we're going to go around the bottom of the ankle. We're going to get the pull on it. We want a good amount of pull once again. Obviously for the video we're not doing that, but get some good pull with the band. You want to try to keep your heel on the floor. You can put your other knee down for stability, and we're going to try to drive the knee forward. You can also start looking around here through the different ranges and find where it feels like it's the tightest and it doesn't want to go. Once again, we're going to kind of pulse into those directions for about 2 minutes to try to free that up. If you keep having a problem where as you start to drive, your heel comes off the ground, you need to add some weight to hold that down. So take a dumbbell, a plate, anything you have that has a little bit of weight to it. Have somebody sit on your knee. As you do this, try to free that ankle up. Okay. Last part. If for the hips, if we're still missing some range, if we're still having an issue with those toes wanting to toe out, but we can get into the bottom of that squat, we can also work on trying to free up the hip flexor. A lot of times if that hip flexor is tight, it'll prevent you from being able to rotate your knee in. One way you can check that is laying on your back, bring the knee up, and then try to rotate the foot out. If you are unable to rotate that foot out, then you're pretty tight in that internal rotation. Likely your hip flexor is pretty tight as well, preventing some of that range of motion. So, to free that one up, we're going to turn around and face the band. We're going to bring the band high up on the thigh. Keep that knee on the floor, bring the other foot up, and we're into the typical hip flexor stretch. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to keep our pelvis in neutral, so it's almost like I'm trying to tuck my butt under just a little bit, and I'm going to push forward till I feel the stretch in the front of my hip. Once I get in that position, I'm going to squeeze my glutes and relax, and do that for 2 minutes. I can also start pushing that foot out just a little bit, rotating it out to get a little bit of internal rotation, and do it from that position as well, just to try to open that up. Okay? With all of these, after you do them, go back and check again. How's my range of motion doing? Is it improving? We should be seeing a significant difference even right after you do it. So, finally, the last part is that extension in that upper back. If you're missing that extension, we've got to do a specific move for the thoracic spine to free that up. For that, we'll have to pause. I'll be right back. Oh, there it is. We're going to use a foam roller. This is the easiest way I've found to do this. The foam rollers are pretty easy to get a hold of. Once again, there's a link probably right below this video to one of these on Amazon. So if you're like me and you like to do a lot of shopping online, save yourself some time, that's an easy way to get it. But what we're going to do with this, we're going to basically get kind of like a sit-up position, hips on the floor, feet flat. I'm going to put that foam roller right below my shoulder blades, kind of my mid-back region. Hands go behind the head. First, what we're going to do is we're going to try to open up and extend back, almost like you're doing a reverse crunch. Hands behind the head, stretching that chest out as I go, and coming back up. And what I just want to do is I did 10 or 15 repetitions, and move it up a little bit, and do some more. I'm going to do this all the way up my upper back. When I get to the top, I can come back down. Same thing. After going up and down, I'll switch and go arms straight overhead, because this puts a little different emphasis on it. Gets in there a little bit more directly on the spine, and I can get this to open up as well. And the same thing, just kind of working my way back and forth. Total, I want to spend a good 4 or 5 minutes going back and forth between those two, up and down through the spine, to get that to really free up and loosen up. You'll find as you go that there's usually certain spots in there where it's going to be tighter and more tender than other areas. Those are the ones you really want to focus on, because that's where the primary issue is. So, once you're done, once again, we come back, we check the squat again. You know, where are you at? How are you doing? Are you improving? So, work on these. Try to free these up until that squat form is perfect, to where you can get all the way to the ground. You can keep those arms straight up. Those toes don't roll out. That's what we're looking for. Once we know you have that range of motion, we know that during daily activities, doing different things, picking things up, moving around, you can keep your spine stable while you're doing those things. So you're not compromising your spine and setting yourself up for injury. So work on those things, and look for the next series of videos that are going to help progress this even more. All right, that's it for today.